Hey everyone, this is Steve Rozenberg with the Landlord Survival Show with Ryan Steinolfson from Accelerate Marketing.
Yeah.
All right, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties there, but I think we got it going on. Anyways, Ryan, thanks for being on the show today, buddy. How you doing, man?
Absolutely, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Great. So this is the Landlord Survival Show, and the premise behind this show, this is episode number 4, and this is basically the shit that real estate gurus don't teach you, and where the rubber meets the road, where the investors need to sit down and figure out what the F am I going to do that I have this property, and how do I get that return out of it every day that I was promised by the wholesaler, by the flipper, by the whatever you want to call it. And I don't understand this new environment called a business that I am now operating in. And the reason I created this show is because I was one of those people on the other side that was sold a lot of ideas and concepts that had no back end, no operation. And I got in a lot of financial trouble because I bought a lot of wrong things and I made a lot of wrong decisions. And the reason I created this show is because I want to help the investor that is out there that owns 1, 2, 5, 10 properties. They're trying to figure it out. They don't know all these added things to the environment of the quote unquote real estate investing world, because they got into this world of investing because they wanted a retirement, they wanted security, they wanted cash flow, they wanted all these different reasons, but they didn't know about these things called marketing, and they didn't know about these things called evictions, and they didn't know about these things called property code and all the scary things that get investors in trouble, or the lack of knowledge that gets them bankrupted. So we created a website. It's called selfmanagemyproperty.com, selfmanagemyproperty.com. When you go on that website, you're going to have the ability to see all these forms that you can download for free. You can see the Ultimate Landlord Survival Handbook. On this handbook, we have things that people should know about, like how do you deal with an eviction if you only do it 1 or 2 over the course of your career as an investor? How do you vet a vendor? How do you market a property? If you only do it once every couple years, you're probably not going to be pretty good at it, and you probably need some sort of reference manual to make that work. And when you go to our website, selfmanagemyproperty.com, you have the opportunity to get this manual so that you can have it and use it as a reference guide. Don't use it as a book. Don't read it cover to cover. You can, but I would suggest you use it as a reference manual. And part of this whole concept of owning properties, a big part of this is when you own a property, the only way this works, the only way that this happens is you have to get it rented. You have to understand marketing. And I've got a very, very good friend on the show today, and we're going to talk to him in a minute. But one of the things that I have realized is when you own a rental property, you own 4 walls and a roof. The business that operates inside of those 4 walls and a roof are your rental property business. And inside of that, you have a lot of different sets of operations. You have accounting, HR, IT, sales, marketing. All of this goes into one little tiny rent home. The challenge is, the reason 1 out of 3 landlords fail is that they don't understand that they are running a business. Everyone else knows that they're a business. The IRS says it. Fair housing, discrimination. All these people say they're a business. Even Google says it. The one who doesn't say it is the actual investor. So, Ryan, I got my good friend Ryan Steinolfson. How'd I get? Did I get it?
Pretty good, yeah.
Not bad, not bad. So I got Ryan here from Accelerate Marketing. Ryan, thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, one of the most important things, obviously, is to know how to market the property. And if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 properties, then you've got to get those properties marketed. And so there's a lot of ways that we've worked with a lot of different property management companies. We've worked with a lot of different companies over the years. And what's interesting is, and I've done the same thing that you have. I mean, I've owned, actually I had up to, I think it was like 6 different properties at one time. 2 of them were duplexes in West Palm Beach or in that surrounding area. So I can totally relate. And I remember thinking, holy crap, what am I going to do? How am I going to rent these places? And this was back 20 years ago. This was 20, 25 years ago. And I was the one who was doing most of the repairs. You know, I was the one who was getting in there and fixing what needed to be fixed. And these weren't in the nicest areas. You know, I had actually one that was in a totally different, it was in Phoenix, you know, when Phoenix was, or when Arizona was going really, really well. I bought a property there in Surprise as well. And I rented that out, which was a brand new build. It was a brand new house. So I had everything from that to Section 8 houses in West Palm. And man, I remember, how am I going to get the next person in here? And every day that goes by, I tell my wife, you know, like we actually just won a bid on a property here in San Diego, a little bit more expensive, almost 1.5 million. We went. So
it's a 2-bedroom.
Yeah, so it's a 1-bedroom on the hill, yeah. Right up there. It's a studio, and
you won a bid. I love how you said you won a bid.
Yeah, well, and I wait till I tell you the story behind this.
All right, I gotta hear this.
Okay, so literally, my dog. It's actually good. I'll get to that in a second, but okay. I will tell you that getting back to, you know, how I was going to market those properties every day that went by, and this is what I was explaining to my wife, is that we got to get that thing ready. I can almost see it up here on the hill. The one that we just got, we won the bidding process with. We didn't get quite into a bidding war, but that's the story I'm going to tell you about, is how we actually won this thing. And we appealed to the emotions of the seller, because the seller had owned this thing for 45 years originally. Wow. It was the original owner, and they just wanted to have something commemorating, and they wanted this in the contract that we would have some memorial there on the property, memorializing the property. And he said, you will win this property as long as you put that into the contract, that you're going to make that a part of the deal.
Really?
That you're going to, yeah. So, and we took a picture of us with our dog, and, you know, sent it to him, and sent a long letter to him, and that works. It was a pocket listing originally. We ended up getting it though, because, you know, the guy's like, oh, I've got to put it on the market. I'm getting a lot of pressure from the family. So we put it on the market. We're like, oh crap, we're never going to get this thing. 2 days later, 11 bids later in 2 days, it was a freaking frenzy. And yes, we had to up our bid by 150,000, but we ended up still, it was well below market. I mean, it's a steal. Believe it is a steal. And 1,888 square feet is exactly how many square feet it is. And yeah, man, we are super stoked to have gotten this. And I think it was the picture with the dog and the letter and the memorial thing that I know that actually ended up getting it. So as I throw the ball to Ace, so he deserves it, right? So he was a big part of it.
That's right. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about the real estate industry, because a lot of people, and you know, I think a lot of these investors that are new to this business think that they need to come in and look so professional, and they need their stupid shirts with their logos, and they need to brand their cars, and they want to come in with these fancy words, and they want to almost talk down to owners of properties. Now, you went the complete other way, and you're like, look, man, this is me and my family. We're going to make a memorial. This is Ace. We're hanging out. We love it.
Yep.
And so a whole different, if somebody was an investor and they walked in there with a clipboard and started ripping that guy's house apart, and they had their fancy shirt on and their business card, what are the odds of them getting that property?
Not very good. I know, because we were patient. It took about another month and a half to actually win the thing, but we were patient, and we went the route of sending the long letter of why we wanted it. And when we fix this thing up, I'm telling you, it's going to be worth 2.5. It's going to be it's going to be a nice turn. And to your point though, is like, you know, Darcy, I have to give her credit. I mean, my wife, like, she's an interior designer.
You better give her credit.
Right. Oh my gosh. And you know, it was like we went in there with, you know, and when I heard that was a pocket listing originally. I was like, let's go look at it today. And then when I heard that it was going on the market, I was like, babe, we lost this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
it's going to be a feeding frenzy right now. We're never.
Right. And it was for the most part, but what broke through all that was just the transparency, the honesty, the, hey, like, this is who we are. This is what we want. It wasn't it was the opposite. It was like, look, we want this to work for you. We want to do, we want to honor what you guys, have had here for the past 45 years.
Like the legacy, right?
Yes. Yep. And, so it's going to be, we're doing our best to make it a win-win-win. And, and getting back to the point of marketing that thing, I'm telling her, I'm like, babe, and she's already been over there. We're going to close on this thing in like 12 days, really fast, short close time. And bottom line is that we are ready to hit the ground running, because every day that place sits on the market and is not sold, or for the guys that are renting, the guys that are listening, or not rented, is you might as well have just a window open with money flying out that window, because that is exactly what's happening. And you can calculate that, if it motivates you, exactly how much you're losing every single day that house isn't sold or house isn't rented. It's not a very hard calculation to make. It's pretty darn easy. Whatever your rent is, divide that by the number of days, and that's how much money is flowing out that window every single day.
So let me ask you this, Ryan. Let me ask you this. So what is that? Let's just start with did you get the bald ace?
Yes, he got it.
Good. Okay. So what's the strategy of buying this house? What is your strategy? Let's break this down, because a lot of these people are flippers and wholesalers that watch this show and that are on the Facebook group and all that stuff. So let's talk about the strategy behind it, because so many people buy a deal. Let's say you weren't as experienced as you are, and you may have just said, that's a good deal, let's buy it, without a strategy, which could obviously make you go bankrupt in a very quick hurry.
Yes.
What is your strategy with this deal?
So our strategy with this deal is to buy it, get that thing, just as cherry as possible, as quick as possible. We partnered with the guy that Darcy works with, day in, day out, who's a contractor. And so he is motivated. His butt's on the line. He's in the deal. So he's super motivated to get this thing turned as quick as possible as well. And Darcy is going to use her amazing skills that she's got in interior design to get this thing literally like move-in ready. So the strategy is to get in there, get this thing turned around, and just looking as great as possible. I mean, if you saw it, I mean, literally everything's original in the house. It's literally looks like a Brady Bunch house. I could seriously show you pictures, and you would just be like, holy cow. But when you get to the back of the house, that's when you literally look down on the entire span from La Jolla all the way to Carlsbad. You can see. I mean, it's literally, it's from 2,000 feet up on the top of the mountain here in La Jolla it's just amazing. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is unbelievable. I mean, I'd love to live there, but I also know that this is just the first of many, and that's what we're treating it as. Our strategy is to take that money and to turn it right into the next one, so that we can, buy and do the same deal, and just basically take that money and roll it right into the next deal.
So is this a flip, or is this a rental? What's the plan on this?
It's a flip. So we are flipping it. We're going to sell it as quickly as we possibly can. We've already got the real estate person ready to take this property and to put it back on the market. Our goal is to get it back on the market in November. We're already planning on having a party there. So it's going to be a month and a half, maybe 2 months max.
Okay.
Because we need to be there for the season of when people are buying. And that's about November, December is a big time that people buy properties around here.
So you bought it for
1.488.
1.488. Yeah, a bunch of eights. All right. And you're thinking it's going to go for you're thinking 2.5?
Yep.
And so
we're going to put about 250, 300 into it.
So you're into it. Let's say you're into it for 1.5, and then you're going to be into it for 1.7. Let's just say 1.8.
Yep.
And now let me ask you this: do you account for any overages or contingencies? What do you have in there for contingencies?
About $100,000. Well, for obviously the hold time, for anything that goes over, if there's anything that needs to be done for, just anything foundationally, anything else that we just didn't account for, about $100,000. So I'm counting on $200,000 in just, hold time and contingencies. So I'm thinking that we're gonna walk with $500,000 and split that between the two of us, so $250 each.
So $250 each. And how much time you think is going to be in on this? How much time from the time you close and the deal goes hot to the time you close again on the backside and walk away? What are you thinking? What's your estimate?
So we're closing right around September 1st, and then we're gonna to buy it, and then we're gonna sell it sometime. We think we're praying that late November, between December 1 and December, the end of the year.
End of the year. So you're looking at. So you'll make $250K in 3 months.
Yes.
Give or take, right?
Yep.
That's not a bad gig, man.
No, and we just want to move that right into, right into the next one, so that we can just not pay the taxes. Hopefully, I don't know if we can. That we're going to look into that. I mean, and we've got some other vehicles that we can use in order to defer the taxes on that as well.
Sure. So okay, so let's talk about this house. We'll keep going down this path there with this house. So
yes,
you are a marketing expert.
Okay. Yes. So
how does after this I want to talk about what you do, but I'm going to take a wild stab here, Ryan.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm going to say you are not going to just let an agent take this and say, I'm going to put it on the MLS and it's going to lease, because you're going, BS, that is not how this works. So walk people through. Do we want to talk about what you do first and your expertise, or do you want to talk about the first part?
Okay, so what I do is I consider myself a growth hacker. So I help businesses grow, and at least my goal is to help them double within the first 6 months to 12 months of us working with them. And we do that through a system that I've developed called the 5 C's. It's the 5 C's to consistent cash flow and conversion. So basically, the 5 C's, the first component of the 5 C's is customer reviews, which we did with you, 5 years ago with your company. And that is foundational, because without a great reputation, it's really tough to do any of the other components. The second C is connections. So connections meaning setting up your directories, setting up what you had said, your Google My Business page. Yes, Google does recognize that you've got a business. If you have an address, guys, if you have an address, even if it's your home address, you can claim a Google My Business page if you want to build up a great reputation, so that you can convert a lot more of the people that actually call you up, so that you can say something like, hey, don't just trust me. Go to our Google My Business page, look at the reviews that we have, and look at the people that we've helped and what they've said. I use this all the time, and I know that your team uses, the 400, and I just use you guys, by the way, when I was in Washington, D.C., and I spoke in front of the 400 people, 3 days ago, I used Empire, I used Liberty Management. And it's so funny. I don't know if you've noticed this, but you guys are literally back and forth between you and Kevin as far as who's got the most reviews of any property management company, by the way, I think, in the world. You and Kevin are 1 and 2, neck and neck.
Really? I didn't know that.
No, dude, it's seriously, it's spooky how close you literally, it goes back and forth. One day you'll have 451 and he'll have 450, and the next day you'll have 452 and he'll have 451. It goes back and forth day to day. It's so funny.
Really?
But my point is, guys, did it take a long time and a bunch of stages and a bunch of asking for his entire team and us to educate his entire staff and even his virtual staff? I'm referring to you, yep. Steve. Yeah, it took a lot of that. It took all that so that they could become the #1 property management company out there in terms of how many reviews that you have. And does it translate into phone calls? Yes. 200, and you're not the only one. It's not just coincidence that you and Kevin Knight both have over 200 inbound phone calls of people every single month calling you that are pre-qualified and pre-sold. Why? Because when you show up on the maps, when somebody types in property management Houston or property management San Antonio for Kevin, and they see you on the maps and they see 450 5-star reviews, and you've got a 4.8 or 4.9 star rating, and your next closest competitor has 35 reviews or 40 reviews
at 1.9.
Yeah, at 1.9. It's like, who are they freaking gonna call?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
So let's equate that. Since we're going down this path, let's equate that to the investor or the flipper, the wholesaler that's trying to get his business going. How essential is it in the know, like, and trust to establish that by having a review? Do you just right out of the gate, like you're Googling, what is the psychological thing that goes through that makes that happen?
Well, you mean on the part of the person that's actually Googling, like what happens in their mind? Like, yes. What are they? Okay. And that's a very interesting question, because I have actually interviewed people once they made a decision to actually go with our customer as to why they did that. And it drives Darcy nuts, because the first thing I always ask her is how did they find you and what really got them to take the action?
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, they say, well, it's the same story. I Googled property management, or San Diego, or property management Houston, or property management San Antonio, or interior designer San Diego, and I found your business on the maps, your Google My Business page, or I saw Yelp, and then I went into Yelp and I saw you guys show up on the Yelp directory. Or for Darcy, I saw you show up on House, which is a directory specific, industry specific directory that she showed up on, and I saw your reviews and I saw some of the work you did, and it was a no-brainer, and so that's what mentally goes through people's mind. And even here's the other thing I want you guys to understand. If you are referred by somebody else if somebody's referred to your business, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to type in your business name and the city that you're in. So if you don't know what your reputation is, even if you're I don't know what the name of your business is. Hopefully you have a business name if you're actually like doing business. And by the way, you can set up not just a Google My Business page, set up a Facebook page, set up a public figure page like Steve has, in other words, I'm just trying to tell you, there's no excuse to not have a place or a repository for you to have reviews go to. There's not an excuse that you have to not have a place for people to leave a review for you.
Yeah.
And that's how it correlates to the investor. Because there's, for goodness sakes, at least LinkedIn, but for sure, Google My Business if you've got an address or whatever, and Facebook and Yelp, and set up those directories and ask for reviews. That's the key. 80% of people that are asked for a review will leave a review. Yep. 80%. And don't just ask for, oh, Steve was great. No, make it what we call an actionable review, which is one that actually has some teeth to it, has some meat on the bones, where it's like people that read it are going to be able to say, oh, that's the reason why they did business with them, and make it, we call it a 2W testimonial, which is what benefits they received and why they would recommend you. Not just Steve's great. It's no, Steve's great. He made it because his property management company is great. He made it so that we had zero time on market, because we literally got one renter out and the next renter in. So there was no money flowing out of my window every single day that place was unrented. Everybody was happy. Steve was happier because he made more money. I was happier because I made more money. Everybody was happy because he has a great marketing system to make sure that we turn these properties as quickly as possible. I was never able to do that when I manage these properties myself. I actually make more money because Steve's managing my property for me. Thank you very much. What I'm saying? Like, that's a great...
And for the people that are out there doing the flipping and the wholesaling and all that stuff, it just goes to show that is actually how you establish that know, like, and trust, because there are some very reputable companies out there. If you have a bunch of rental properties and someone looks you up and they see nothing but bad things written about you, even if you only have 5 properties or 2 properties, look, we all know that it just takes a second for someone to say something bad about you on social media, and it takes a lifetime to try to recover from that. If you have, you know, my thing is, you know, if you're in an industry like wholesaling or flipping, or you have a rental property, and there is the chance that someone can say a negative thing about you or the property management industry, you have to have 10 times the amount the other side. So many people, it's funny, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Ryan. I see on these Facebook groups and this other stuff, people will talk about, oh, you know, I've got this negative review. How do I get it removed? And how do I do this? And I'm like, why not just bury it with 20 good ones? Have 20 good ones say about how great you are and all the things that you do offer. Unless you're really that shitty. And if you're that shitty, then maybe you deserve the review. You know, but if you're really that good, have some people speak up, get those reviews so that they go, yeah, you know what, they have a couple bad ones, but a lot of people are saying a lot of good things about them.
Yeah, and not only that, you know, obviously respond to the review. People can see through a review where it's like, you know, there's more going on there. You know, if you invite the person to come back into, you know, if you're a retail store, to come back into your store, or if you're a property management company, to come back and visit with you guys, and give you the chance to show them that you've changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all people want to see. People make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Nobody's freaking perfect. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because I tell people all the time, I say, listen, the character of a company is not if they make a mistake. It's what happens if and when that mistake happens. Because if somebody is sitting there on the other side of the table and they're saying, I'm perfect, nothing's going to go wrong. Just like when you own a rental property, right? Yeah. If I said, look, Ryan, you're going to live in this house, it's going to be magical. You're going to ride a unicorn to work every day, and you're going to fart rainbows on the way there. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be like, this is great. Then when it doesn't happen, what do? You take to social media. But if you say, hey, look, man, you know what? This is an older house. I've done everything I can to fix it, but there may be some things that I did not catch. And if there are, I will gladly fix them, because I want you to have a great place to live. And because of that, if something happens, and there's a very, very good chance it will, set the proper expectations. If something happens, give us a call. We'll take care of it. And that's one of the things I think a lot of people have a hard time with, where they don't realize that they have to. Honesty sometimes in setting that expectations is so, so important. So, all right, now let's go back to this house. You got the house on the hill. It's got the view from La Jolla to Carlsbad. This agent is getting in the mix. You found her, you hired her. She says, I'm going to put it on the MLS and it's going to go. And you're like, hold the phone. Yes.
Well, okay. So here a couple things. Number one, what I'm going to do with this property is I'm absolutely going to make sure that this thing has got a full 360 walkthrough tour. Okay. So I'm going to take my Mavic. I'm going to do an aerial, an aerial view of this thing. That's the key. I mean, I want to show off exactly what this thing has as far as a view, where it's at on the hill. It's literally like at the top of the hill. So leveraging all the tech, but also leveraging what are called DARE ads. Okay, so DARE is dynamic ads for real estate that Facebook allows you to use.
Never heard of that one.
So and this is great, especially, and this is something that is brand new. We just started offering these for property management companies, and also for real estate companies, because what happens is when somebody goes to your site and they view your property and on your website, what we can do is we can then show them ads that are specifically about the exact property they looked at on your website. In other words, if they looked at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property, then what we need to do is make sure that when they see the ad, we say, hey, we saw that the other day that you went to our website and you were looking at 3-bedroom, 2-bath properties, in the price range of, $400,000. Here's 3 more properties that meet that same criteria, and then just scroll through the images in order to see the properties. And that's exactly that's the power of these dare ads, is they're dynamically created. That's why it's called dynamic ads for real estate. We can do the same thing for people looking at rental property. You know, if they've looked at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you know, rental property for $1,000 a month, then we want to basically show those same exact properties to those people in their Facebook, you know, in their Facebook feed. And that's, so it's very customized, very specific, and people love them because it's like, I mean, that's what they're looking for. It's not as intrusive because it's actually taking what they're looking for and giving them more of that, which is exactly what they want.
So let me ask you this, Ryan. Let's back it up a little bit, because you probably just talked about a college level advertising. If I'm the average investor and I own a property and I'm going to, I used to use Craigslist to lease my properties, and the local free newspaper. And now I'm going, well, shit, it's been 5 years. Okay, maybe I'll, how has marketing changed to lease my property? So can we start with that? Let's talk with the concept of how marketing has evolved to what it is today compared to what it was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. So the what it is today versus what it was 5 years ago is it's people are able to get information obviously at their fingertips with their smartphones, etc. So at the very least, what I would create if I'm trying to rent my property is I would first and foremost, I would at least have a Facebook page, okay, that would allow me to do a simple walkthrough video tour, live or not live, or live. What I would suggest is do it live, and then if you think it's good, then just save it and then use that as the video. That is the video for that particular property, and that way you've at least got one place that people can go to in order to see all of the properties that you have available and that are for rent. And obviously, put the amount of rent in there, put all the specifics that you possibly can. And the beautiful thing about that as well is that because you've created a Facebook page, people can actually send you a Facebook Messenger message, and they'll be much more likely to send you a messenger message than a text message, because it's not as intrusive. It's not, they don't have to give up their cell phone number in order to connect with you about that particular property. And the beauty of that is that you can then engage with them if you're willing to step outside of the box. And this is really what's changed, Steve, is that people are open and they almost expect, or coming to the point where they expect to have a more customized marketing solution, meaning that not only do they expect that obviously they'll be able to see the properties in video, all your properties that you've got available, but that when you engage with them in that one-on-one chat conversation, it's not just text. This is where you separate yourself from the rest of the pack. You send them a video of yourself, a short little video, and it's so easy, guys. This is not hard. All you got to do is press the little camera button on, in Messenger, and you send somebody a video message. And man, think about the ability that you have to connect with people. That's what's changed. Is if I can sum it up, and this is the third C that I haven't gotten to in the 5 C's. The third C is conversations. Is starting more conversations. Before we got on today, we were talking about whether or not you have chat on your website, because it's all about starting more conversations with the people that go to your website and with the people that engage with you, whether it's on Messenger or even on text, where you can actually start a conversation and make it much more meaningful and much more where you're able to leverage more of the senses, which makes it so that people can read your body language. 80% of communication is body language, is vocal intonation. It's not just text. People can't really build that, what you were talking about earlier, that know, like, trust relationship with you if they can't see you, they can't hear you. And you've got the ability through Facebook Messenger communication, where they've already seen your property, where now you can say, you know, you can take your phone, just like you can see me right now, send them a message and say, hey, you know what? You know, I'd love to connect with you. Here's the property. I'm going to send you some more pictures of the property. You know, here's here's a 360 degree live video of the property, etc. There's a lot. My point is, there's a lot of ways that you can actually engage with people and take it to the next level, and with that type of a strategy, and it's simple.
So let me ask you this, Ryan. This is a little bit of a sidetrack, but it's also in line. So just hear me out. My understanding nowadays, when it comes to marketing, is the 800-pound gorillas of big companies. Let's talk real estate, right? And when you have the large scale, the Keller Williams, the Remaxes, all those things, people want to know more about the person and the personal characteristics of that person than the branding of the large company. So for example, they don't want to know the CEO, they don't want to buy Coca-Cola. They want to see what the CEO of Coca-Cola does on Facebook and the internal intricacies of his day. Would you agree with that concept of how things have shifted?
Okay, so it's so funny you say that. That was like a softball, because seriously, when I spoke at this event in DC, one of the examples that I gave, because I knew that there'd be some, my goal was to get as many of these 400 people, by the way, to do a live video all at once. And I literally showed them. You would be shocked. I asked them how many people have gone live, and literally only 4 or 5 people raised their hand out of 400 people in the audience. I was like, all right, guys. And Lance, who put this whole event together, he said beforehand, he's like, I would love it if you guys could leverage your influence that you have with the people that you're connected with on social media. And if you could, you know, if we could figure out a way to do that. And I was like, well, it just so happens that we can do that. Let's do it right now. And I literally screenshotted all the steps they'd have to do in order to actually do a live video. And so we got 50 of the people to go live all at once in that room. That's cool. And it was really fun. People were like helping each other, and they were going live, and they were showing me on stage, and it was something that you might want to consider doing. Now you'll thank me later for that. But that's a great fun little tip to get the engagement started in an audience. I've done that before, but not on that large of a scale. It's kind of tough to rein them back in again. But my point is this: is that one of the things that I talked about, because I knew I had to convince some of the people that were there, they were bigger, big hitters, and because they were like, well, who's watching live video? Who's doing live video? And I'm like, okay, how's the CEO of a Fortune 100 company that just, T-Mobile, who just merged with Sprint, and now they're probably a Fortune 50 company, John Ledger, he does slow cooker Sundays. 2.2 million views a week ago for slow cooker freaking Sunday. Look it up. Type in John Legere, Legere. You will freaking flip out. 2.2 million is what he regularly gets on his slow cooker Sunday shows.
And that's the personal side of him, right? Is that
Yep.
So let me ask you this. So kind of bringing this back to owning a rental property and marketing it, is that what people want? Do they not want, let's say, the realtor that just puts it up on the MLS with no internal communication and connection with the property and the person selling it? Do they want that virtual interaction now?
That's exactly what, I'm learning from John Legere, however you want to pronounce it, and things that I've done myself. I mean, I was the first guy to ever do live video and, while scuba diving, and what I learned in that process and going kite surfing is that people, they want to see the world through your eyes. They want to know what, they want to see that, and they want to know what makes, Steve Rozenberg tick. And they want to know what makes John tick, and they want to know what makes me tick, and they want to know, who they're dealing with. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's really no better way to do that than to be open. And I always laugh when I hear people say, yeah, I'm under the radar, man. Like, I don't give out my, I don't give out my, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude,
yeah. First of all, you're not that
good
important.
Luck with that.
Yeah, first of all, you're not that important. Let's just establish that, number one. Number two, nobody really cares about you, and when you don't have any influence, nobody even sees you. So I think the biggest challenge, and I spoke when I was in Australia, I was speaking about this, in marketing is our biggest challenge of everybody is obscurity. And it's getting obscured out there where you just get thrown into the mix. And, I think that's why, guys like The Rock and other people do so well, because they show that personal side of what they do and who they are. And I think that relates to, I mean, I know we kind of getting off track here with renting your property, but I think it just goes to show that, if I have a rental property that I'm trying to sell and I do a personal live video walkthrough, and I'm reaching a larger audience than if I was never on Facebook at all. And same thing with the guy, the T-Mobile guy that's doing the slow cooker, right? If all of a sudden he starts pontificating about something personal in his life or something going on, he just reached 2.2 million people like that immediately. You can't do that in any other medium.
With his smartphone that's sitting in the back of his pocket, like he literally just turned it on. Like it's so easy, like it's too easy now. This is part of what I was sharing the other day is that, it's like, 5 years ago, you asked me what changed. 5 years ago, I would have had a semi truck behind me, with people in order to be able to do a live video. Like in order to be able to go live the way that I can to 2.2 billion people on Facebook. Now I just whip out my phone and I press the go live button and I'm live, and immediately I've got an audience. And that's the power. When back in the days of Google Hangouts, when we could go live, but we could go live to Google Plus, like who's on Google Plus? Like I had no audience there. Like it was crickets. Nobody would show up. But now I can go live to Periscope, and my audience is whoever is following me on Twitter, which is a lot more than on Google Plus, and Facebook, whoever's following me on Facebook, man, like that's a huge opportunity. I mean, I can literally engage with my entire audience, and one of the ways that I've leveraged that is if I have a need, and I need to remind myself to do this. I mean, if I have a need, what I've done, and this is how I've found my best employees, is I've actually gone live, and I've said, hey, look, this is what I need, this is what I'm looking for. And I do that on my personal Facebook profile, not just on my page. I do it on my Facebook profile, and I say, Ryan here. Hope you guys are all doing well. These are the people that are, my brother, sister, mother, Aunt Betty, Uncle Jim. Like, you think they're not going to listen? It's me. I'm like, this is my need. Like, are they not going to want to help me out and share it? If they think about it, they're going to share it on Facebook Messenger to somebody that they know that can help me get what I want. So that's the power. Try it today. Forget about your rental properties. Like try it on something else for right now, and then prove to yourself that it works, and then go and do it. And here's what I would do. Here's a tip. If you're concerned about going live, go live to one person. You can go live to one person on your Facebook profile. Get comfortable with it. If you've got and do the walkthrough tour, if you feel comfortable with what you've done there, then share that video to your page. Okay. Once it's in the can, once it's recorded. Okay. So it's a two-step process. Go live to one person that that you don't care, what they know everything about you, so you can mess up and it doesn't matter. And then if it's good though, save it. Save it to your camera roll and save it to Facebook, and then share it to anywhere else that you want it. Share it to your page. But then when it's on your camera roll as well, then also upload that to your other channels like YouTube and other places like Instagram TV, IGTV. Now you can upload videos. So you've got 3 different channels you can go to: Facebook, YouTube, and IGTV. I would definitely send your video once you've got it in the can, once you feel comfortable with it. That way you take away all the fear, all the pressure, and you can do it as many times as you want.
Well, and it's so funny, Ryan, is I'm not one that's we'll say I'm not shy of the camera, but I've got no problem doing it. And I remember talking to other people, and they're like, "Man, how do you get out there and just whip out 10 video blogs in an hour?" And I'm like, "You just hit record." And they're like, "Yeah, but I've got to get the green screen and the camera." And I'm like, "You know what? Just stop. Like, first of all, let me just tell you this. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you mess up. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. The only person that cares is you and your ego. So put that aside, hit that little button, and just start talking. And I tell them, listen, I guarantee you your first video is going to be really shitty. It's going to suck. And maybe your 10th is going to suck, and your 20th. And you know what? Every time you're going to suck just a little bit less. And by the time you're done, and when you have your 500th video, then you're going to be a lot better. And that's what we do. We're creating an Empire Academy. It's more internal usage for our employees, but we're doing scripting and role playing. I'm doing 25 to 30 videos a week just for internal usage of our staff, not counting the video blogs, all the video content I do and all that stuff. But in any event, let me ask you this. Where do you see marketing going?
I see marketing going into Dare, like dynamically created ads that are super custom based on the past experience that person has had on a prior platform. Meaning this, and that's why Dare is so powerful. Is so somebody went to my website. They were looking for 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $300,000 houses. I want to only show them 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $300,000 houses until they say that they want to see something else. And that's the experience. It's a super custom experience that people are going to come to expect in the next 2, 3, 4 years. But for right now, you can very easily create an ad from that live video and send it out to people that are looking for properties in your area, or that are looking for rental properties. You can identify those people, and so you can keep it super simple right now. But that's where I see marketing going, is where people expect a custom experience in terms of what they see in an ad, and then I'll take it one step further. Is the expectation is that there is going to be a bot or some automated conversation that started immediately, so that they can get answers to their questions about that property, either on Facebook Messenger or on iMessage or on any of these platforms or on your website, until somebody that's real flesh and blood person comes into that conversation in order to answer the questions that the bot wasn't able to answer. People are okay with having a conversation with a bot. They prefer it because they can actually get answers in real time immediately about the property or whatever it is that they saw in the ad that was a custom ad based on the prior engagement that they had with you. So it starts with the Dare ad that's super custom, or a Dare type ad based on their prior experience that they had on your website, and then going into a conversation that is immediate, so that when they show up at your storefront, just like in Blockbuster and some of these stores, when Blockbuster, when Blockbuster used to be in existence, people used to say, it was like, hey, how you doing? They used to greet people, and that's the same experience that you want to have with your company. Is people want to they want to be greeted when they show up on your website and when they show up anywhere. So anyway, that's where I see it going.
So let's talk about this. Time frame wise, are you thinking, like, it sounds like basically it's going to get more and more specific in what people are looking for. And so you go from a Craigslist ad, or you go from something that is so far off the plate to now all of a sudden it's getting more narrow, where people say, you know what, I want something that's only on my street. Don't even bother me if it's not on my street and the house is not green and it doesn't have this, and this. So it's basically getting finer and finer detailed, right? So what kind of time frames are we talking?
Well, time frames, you mean when this is going to start happening?
Well, I know it's already happening, but when is it going to be like that is the norm?
Well, and you see this stuff in movies like Minority Report and like, what was the most recent one that was the remake with I'll think a Blade Runner. You know, you see these ads and there's these holograms of, oh, hey, how you doing? You know, blah, 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 you know, and you know, that's the reality.
That's not far off.
But it's not far off. I mean, where it's like, you know, I saw that you know, you were looking for 3-bedroom, 2 baths. Would you like to look at this one? I would say like that is absolutely happening right now. And the expectation of people, as people see this more and more, you know, you're looking at a year to 2 years, 3, you know, for sure 3 years off is where it's going to be standard.
So
you know?
let me ask you this. We got about 4 minutes left. Give me your thoughts on the Alexa Google Home.
Alexa Google, okay. That's huge because it's the same for the same reason we were talking about. Search is now, what are the numbers? I had them the other day because I presented on this, but it was somewhere between, you know, around 10%, 15% of searches are now voice searches.
Yes.
So it's restaurant, Alexa, restaurant near me, you know, and then basically if you're not showing up in Alexa and you're not on that, if you're not on that list of, so, okay, and this is where you've got to think about. This starts
getting even more complex, right?
Yeah. Well, but like Google Home, who do you think the search engine is going to be? It's going to be Google.
Sure.
So you want it. So now Alexa is probably. I think Alexa's got a partnership with Bing. So this is where Bing comes into play. You know, you want to think about these partnerships that these various these voice systems are using, and you know, bottom line is that it's the same thing though. If you're not in play on what you're seeing visually, then you can pretty much guarantee that you're not in play in voice search. It's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so let me ask you this. Apple, why don't you think Apple has gotten into this game yet as extensively?
Well, they have. They have the. They have,
but it's not doing as well. Why do you think that is? What are your thoughts?
Well, they're just a late comer. I don't think they saw it coming. And you know, Alexa is just all over it. Like Amazon. This is why Bezos is just crushing. I mean, it's like, and same with, and now Google is in a bigger way. But why didn't they know that is the future, and we already see it happening, and we see that now, like I said, 10 to 20% of searches are voice. I would never have thought that.
Yeah, and pretty soon, if you want a house, pretty soon you're going to say, "Hey Alexa, find some houses for rent near me," and it's going to go, "These are the houses near you." Boom, 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 and you're going to be like, "Holy shit, man!"
Yep.
You know?
And this is why you want to have your properties, you know, everywhere listed on all the different, you know, on all the different systems that you possibly can.
Yep.
Because and you know, I would market them on Zillow. We're going to market this property. I mean, every which way, you know, that we can.
We're pretty much out of time, and I know we got a little sidetracked, but hopefully people got an understanding of marketing and why it's so important. Ryan, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and they just maybe want to pick your brain or even use your services, because you know we've used you for years, amazing work. How does someone get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, which is accelerateyourmarketing.com. That's ACCELERATE, accelerateyourmarketing.com. Or you can just call us or text us even at 619-304-5155. So that's, again, 619-304-5155. And you can text. That's our company phone number, and it's our text number as well. And I'll respond, or somebody on my team will respond via that phone number.
I love when everybody does the thumbs when they talk about responding. It's so fun. That used to be video games when we were growing up, right? Now it means text messaging, you know. But anyways, and you know, Ryan, as always, man, I love chatting with you. I love picking your brain. You and I think so much alike, and it's great to hear what's coming down the pipeline from someone like you. And you know, if anybody wants to check us out on the Landlord Survival Show, you can go to our Facebook group, Landlord Survival Show or Landlord Survival Group on Facebook. Also, we have a website, selfmanagemyproperty.com. There we have the Ultimate Landlord Survival Handbook. If you are an investor and you don't know what you're doing, check out that book. And so, Ryan, we got a couple seconds left. Man, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it. Look forward to chatting you next time. We'll have you on again. I want to hear how it happens on the show with your house. Yeah, me too. It's going to be fun. Thanks, Ryan. We'll see you, buddy. Thanks. This has been the Landlord Survival Show.
Join us next time for more of what the gurus don't tell you about owning rentals. And for even more, find us on Facebook.
Brought to you by Empire Industries Property Management. Built for investors, by investors. For more information about this show, visit our website, selfmanagemyproperty.com, home of the ultimate landlord survival handbook.